Hello everyone and welcome to Tea Time Crochet. Today we're going to be making this slipper. You can do it in any size, any color. It's very versatile on different sizes. I wear a size US women's size 8. You can actually adjust the toe and the foot part to fit whatever size foot you have. You can actually change the design by making the toe smaller and making more rows for the foot part and make it into like a ballet flat type of slipper, or you can even add more rows up here to make it into more like a boot slipper. It's very versatile. You can just do whatever you feel like doing. So for me, I'm just going to show the basics of this slipper, and you can also, decorate it however you want. I actually have made a bow to put on this one. You can put flowers, you can leave them this way, you can use different yarns, anything to make them, your own. So for this, I show you, okay, for the toe portion of this, it is a total of 10 rounds, and for the heel portion is a total of 7 rounds, or rows, because that's not in the round anymore, but for a total of 17. Like I said, you can adjust the toe where the toe is smaller, and then you have more rounds for the heel portion. It'll be totally the same no matter how many rounds you have in either one. So I'll get to the tutorial. Okay, the things that you're going to need are some worsted weight yarn. This is a number 4. Any worsted weight yarn will work. What I'm using today is Patton's Classic Wool and worsted. And then for the trim, I just have some scrap Red Heart, and it's in this cream color. Any worsted weight will work. I have a 5mm hook, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. So to start off with, we're going to make our slip knot. And I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to join with the first chain to form a loop. So now we have a little loop here we're going to be working into, and I'm going to hold down this tail so we can work over it as we go. To begin with, you can either chain 2, or you can do the alternative double crochet that I'm going to do, which is a single crochet chain 1, so that's a single crochet and then a chain 1. And this just looks a lot neater when you're joining. Your seam's not as pronounced as it would be if with just the chain 2. So now we're going to put 11 double crochets into this ring. This would be 2, oops, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we should have a total of 12, and that's counting our first single crochet chain 1. So you always want to make sure you go back and count, make sure you counted right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. See, I'm one short. 12. So I'm just going to take this tail right here and give it a tug, and that will tighten up this center. And now I'm going to join to the chain 1 on this beginning stitch with a slip stitch. So that is round 1. For round 2, once again, I'm going to start off with my single crochet chain 1, and I'm going to do that throughout the whole project. And then we're going to go back into that same stitch right here with another double crochet. So that will be 2 stitches in the same stitch. And we're going to do that in each stitch around. We're going to put 2 double crochets. Oops. Okay, now just go back over your work and make sure that you've put 2 double crochets into each stitch. It's always nice just to check, otherwise your count will be off. And I'm going to slip stitch to the chain 1 on this first stitch. And this was our increase row, and every row from here on out is just going to be working 1 double crochet in each stitch. So mine I did rows 3 through 10. Okay, so the next row, or the next round we do, is just going to be 1 double crochet in each stitch. So I'm going to do my alternative double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in each stitch around. Okay, so I'm down to my last stitch, so I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this single crochet chain 1. And I'm going to repeat this row until this gets the length that I need it to be for the toe. So for mine, I did a total of 10 rounds for the length of my toe. So I'm going to go ahead and go do those 10 rounds and then I will come back. Okay, I have my 10 rows. You may have more or less depending on the size of your foot, depending on the type of slipper that you're making, but for mine I have 10 rows. So from here we're going to fasten off, because I want this seam, even though you can't see it very well, I want it to be on the bottom of the slipper. So we're going to fasten off and then we're going to reattach in a different spot. So I'm going to flip it over where this seam is on the bottom, and then I forgot to mention you're going to need some stitch markers, so you could have paper clips, scrap yarn, regular stitch markers, or just whatever you got. And we're going to count off 6 stitches here on the top, and we kind of want to make it, you know, even on both sides. So okay, so I've marked off 6 stitches, and this is going to be the opening for our foot. You can have more stitches or less. It depends on the size of your foot and how you want it to fit. It's completely adjustable. So just for mine, I counted off 6. You could count off less or you could count off more. And you know, you kind of want to try it on and just check and see where, you know, it fits best. But for me, 6 stitches works. I'm going to attach my yarn right here next to this stitch marker. So it's the one right next to it. I'm just going to tie it on. Okay, so we're going to start off with a double crochet. And we're going to double crochet all the way around until the stitch right before our stitch marker. And we're going to crochet over this tail from where we tied on. And then we're also going to crochet over this tail from where we tied off on the bottom. That way we really don't have very many tails to hide at the end. Okay, I'm right here at the end of my stitch marker, so I'm just going to cut off that little piece right there. So from now on we're going to be working in rows. So we're going to turn here and work back. So I'm going to be doing my alternative double crochet here. And then I'm going to work back across the row. And this is the foot portion that we're working. Okay, so that is the end of that row. This is what it's looking like so far. So we have our toe portion, and now we're going to be working on the foot and heel portion. And for mine, I did rows 11 through 18 was mine. So I'm going to do until this portion reaches, 18 rows. A total of 18 rows from the beginning. So I'll meet back with you when I get that number of rows. Yours may be longer, it may be shorter, it depends on the size of your foot. So you're just going to continue with this section until it's the length that you need it to be. So I'll meet back up with you when I'm done with that. Okay, so now I've finished all of my rows. So mine from the beginning round all the way to the end was 17. I thought it was 18, but it's 17. So yours is going to be completely whatever your measurements are for your foot. It could be more rows than this or less rows. It just depends on how you're measuring it when you are measuring it on your foot. So the last step that we're going to do is to seam up the slipper. So we're going to flip this where it's inside out. So I kind of just scrunch it over like this. Let's see if I can wiggle this underneath the... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this stitch right here, this first stitch, and then into the one on the other side, and I'm going to pull up a loop and do a slip stitch. And then we're going to do that all the way across. Make sure you're grabbing both of the legs of the stitch. So see this V right here? You want to make sure that you're grabbing both of them. And we're just going to do that all the way across to the end. And even though this isn't a stitch right here, I always like to just put the last stitch through that. And then we're going to fasten off and cut our yarn. And then this is what it'll look like when you flip it out. So there is the basics of your slipper. So I want to just kind of neaten up this edge, so I'm going to use a contrasting color. And since the only thing I had in my stash was a cream color that matches this cream right here, that's what I'm going to use. So I like to attach mine back here. So I'm just going to attach it in any of these little loops right here, and then I'm going to tie it on. Now I'm going to go back into that one and bring up a loop. And then I'm going to go back into that one again and do a single crochet, and we're going to single crochet all the way around this outer edge. And just kind of evenly space them across. And on this edge, I'm trying to go through the stitch, that way it's not making a big gap. If I was to go into this hole right here, it would make a humongous gap right there, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to try and split the stitch right there and go through it. And then once you get across the top, you'll have your stitches to work into. And then I'm just going to continue on around because I'm going to do one more row. You don't have to do that. You can end right here. If you're going to end right here, just end with a slip stitch and fasten off. But I'm going to do one more row. Okay, so I'm at my last stitch and I'm just going to do a slip stitch and fasten off. And my slipper is done. All I have to do is hide my tails, and you can decorate it with bows or whatever, flowers. You could just leave it like this. It's completely up to you. So that's the finished project. So I want to thank everybody for watching and have a great day.